Hello everybody, Jose Rodriguez here. I'm going to talk a little bit about a particular family of printers from Epson, and this covers quite a number of printer models. Any model that uses the K3 ink set, which utilizes matte black and photo black, but only has one black channel to share, and so it has to be able to switch between the two inks. But initially, when the printer emerges out of the box, brand spanking new, and you initiate it, here is what happens. And I'm going to just read it verbatim as it was explained to me by someone who knows. On the initial ink charge by the printer setup, if you monitor the ink weights, he's gone to that extent, you will find that the PK is depleted the less than the matte K. Here is why. The printer starts off by initially filling the tubes. Okay, so we're talking about printers with externally mounted cartridges. That means they're not riding on top of the print head like some of the other lower end printers seem to do. The printer starts off by initially filling the tubes, etc., with PK, photo black. Then it switches to matte K. Remember, the PK line and the matte K line will meet at a valve, and that valve, depending on its position, will dictate which ink is being used. But that damper, a little container that precedes the actual color channel, in this case black, of the print head, has to be also filled with ink. The printer starts off by initially filling the tubes, etc., with PK. Then it switches to matte K because that matte K line is still filled with nothing but air, and starts filling that line. In doing so, it uses the other colors as well. Then when matte K is filled, it performs an auto switch back to PK, and then printing is able to be done at that point. This is initially. As a result of this, the matte K will be used the least, in other words, initially. And finally, the other 7 colors. It uses approximately 12 ml to charge the ink lines twice. I carefully monitor the progress during a changeup with a before and after weight. And then he goes on to describe the actual weights of the cartridges. And you will notice the variation in the weights after the initialization. This is a clear illustration why ink levels do not track perfectly. Variations in the carton resistance to flow due to ink properties and physical characteristics of the line will cause variations in the consumption of ink, even with OEM carts. The other thing is that the setup carts provided by Epson are special when they run with the printer firmware. Despite a lot of ink being consumed initially, they initially report as full, whereas we know they are not. They are closer to nearly half used during the setup. The ink consumption will therefore appear to be quite high on the setup cards, but when they are changed out to the real consumer type cards, consumption will show as being much lower. With newer Epsons, always use the provided setup cards. Not using them can create electronic issues afterwards, even if you revert back to OEM. There you go. And if you guys want to see this, the actual weights, let me know and I will post them. But basically what it's saying is that a lot of people think that if it loads, say, photo black first, that PK is not loaded. Well, of course it has to be loaded, because think of it as 2 little rivers from 2 containers of ink. This one is full of air. This one is being filled, and that damper is being filled. Then this one loads, and it has to do what? It has to also fill that damper. As it's doing so, it's actually utilizing the other colors as well. Okay? A lot of ink is being used for that initialization, and they never end up being at the same weight because of the disparity in the way the ink are being used for priming. Here are some weights. They don't differ a lot. They differ by a few ml each. Mat K 44.3 after the initial load. Light gray 39.5, and so on. They go 39.7, 42.4, 40.6, 39.3, 41.1, 39.0, and 40.7. You would think that they would all be used at the same rate, but they're not. And so that's interesting, and that's actually been documented by weighing the carts after the initial setup. And so remember, the setup carts have to be used first. And what a lot of people tend to do is they try to sell them. No, don't do that. Set up your printer with those setup carts. Any ink that's loaded into those lines and those dampers is still in the printer. It's not tossed away. And keep in mind that the reporting of the actual ink levels is going to be over-reported. In other words, the cards are going to be reported as being full when in reality they are not. And as you print, they're just going to drastically drop at some point. So don't panic. At that point, then you're going to start installing the full volume or non-setup or regular OEM cards, and the ink that's in the printer lines and the ink lines and the dampers is going to be utilized. Okay, some of it went into the maintenance cart, of course, because the printhead has to be primed, and all of the air and the priming fluid that they are shipped with has to be pushed out, and all of that goes into the maintenance cart. So even though it looks like you're wasting a lot of ink during the initial setup, you really are not. The ink is actually inside the printer ink lines and in the dampers and in the printhead, priming the printheads. So that is it. I just wanted to share this little bit of technical information with you guys. I don't really get into too much on this stuff. Some people just derive utter pleasure out of doing this sort of technical analysis. I mean, imagine weighing every card before and after. Wow. So I'm glad this was published and I was able to find it and share it with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions about any of this, ask me and I will be able to tell you either I don't know or I do know and try to help you out. All right. Please share and like and subscribe. When you subscribe, click on that little bell, and that way you will know whenever I upload something new. Thank you so much again. Happy printing, everybody. Bye-bye.